has got downloaded? Let me see. Okay, they got downloaded. Right. Very good, very good. We are not going to require it immediately. We're going to continue with your in entity validator, some things in Hibernate, and then later you are going to require it. So I'm stopping my video. I'm still not got my broadband connection back. So guys, let's continue. What we were doing earlier, everyone knows. So right now, don't worry about that opening that day 13 or whatever spring project. Continue back or come back to day 13.1, and everyone has confirmed that their this thing, what is it, Aadhaar card and all those things are working. But like I showed you, I was testing something, so all my database is cleaned up. So I will just run some initial what testers. I'll set up the database and I'll join you. That is the reason I joined little earlier. So first, let me say, you don't have to do this. You have a course, you have students. You will be just linking a Aadhaar card to student, but I don't have the data, so I'm just running the scripts. Start date. And the capacity. I'm launching a new course, which you already have. I mean, Spring Boot you may not have, but the point is you have some course. Next is, let me add the students to it. Oh, actually, I should have. What I'll do is I'll delete that. I want to do that cascading thing. So in one shot, it will get. So I'm running the other one, launch new course with student details. So I don't have to run 2 testers or multiple times tester. Yeah, so something. Start date. You don't have to do anything of this at all. Piece. The capacity. Now the name and this. So even this is what will not be possible if you remove the bidirectional part. The cascading will not happen. Here we are enjoying it because I'm showing you the example of a bidirectional association already written, course and student. And this. Okay. So I'm just checking here. So one course added. That ID is 1 because ID is 2 because I had dropped that earlier course. And let me see the students table basically. Oh. And you got this. And as you can see, open your students table and you will see the card number, creation date, and location. Is it showing all null? Yes or no? Is it showing your Aadhaar card details all null? And of course, that is expected because where we have created anything at all. So what is the next thing we are going to write is, we are going to link Aadhaar card to the existing student. So here, not written here. I've written the later this. Okay, anyway, let's add this. I'll add one. Yeah, I have written, sorry, I have written this. So here, link Aadhaar card is the first objective we are solving. So link Aadhaar card to an existing student. So you start telling me, what are the inputs you will require? I don't have the Aadhaar card details. So I want to link that Aadhaar card details to your student. So what will be the input? Either you can go for student ID, student name. I mean, whatever is unique is fine. I just went for student ID and the card details. Is everyone clear? And what do you expect to see? Any new record inserted anywhere? Of course not. The null values, whichever are there, should be filled with Aadhaar card details. Is the requirement clear to everyone? 100% clear? Okay, so let's start solving it. So here, tell me. I want to see your understanding. So I'm asking you, I would like to ask you all these questions. So in the DAO layer, would you like to create a new DAO by the name Aadhaar card DAO? It's a yes or no question. Answer is 100% no, because it doesn't have a standalone existence. You know all of that, right? So you will add it in the student DAO itself. So open student DAO and you can add a method to link Aadhaar card details. Correct? And as I said, you can think of any inputs. Currently, I just took the student ID and card. Okay. Instead of student ID, you can take student email, any unique key from student, it's fine. So it's all JPQL or get that way. So link Aadhaar card, and then I can say this something, the method arguments. You can do it on your own. You don't require my help. And here, Aadhaar card instance. Understood it completely, the method declaration. Okay, let's add the implementation. Override implement method. And here, I'll just copy this boilerplate code, repetitive code, which will soon, very soon, once you enter Spring. And once I show you Spring and Hibernate integration, this code is going to reduce to 0. That is the reason I asked you to keep on copy pasting it. Only thing is the try block, I'm keeping it empty other than this, and I'm saving it as the template. Okay. So now you start. So I have given the student ID. So what will be the first step? Get is a very right answer. So here, get persistent student reference from its ID. So these parts are, I hope today it is sounding all very basic. And session.get, in goes the class to be deserialized, student.class and the student ID. Same questions I keep asking you. Null checking, required or not required? When you use get, do you need? Of course, yes, you're going to require all of that. So if it was a get single result, you wouldn't require. So if S is not equal to null, that reminds me, we should have a message here. Linking Aadhaar card. And return that message, which we will toggle to success. Okay, so if it is not null, now the next thing has to come from you. Line number 75, please. Yes, please. What do you want me to write? Line number here. I have to write something if it is not equal to null. Anyone? It's an easy one, not difficult at all. I hope you are thinking. Yes, fast. Set card, absolutely. Guys, here S is already persistent. And what is the famous statement? The moment you touch the property or the state of persistent Pojo, who is responsible for what and when? Hibernate is responsible for synchronizing the same change, propagating the same change to the database. So naturally, all you have to do is call the setter, set Aadhaar card. That's it. Are you understanding how easy it is? That is without any hassle of SQL queries or JDBC, it happens. And I'll just change the message to a success. linking successful. Okay. And that's it, I guess. Just a second. So we are changing this. So anyone wants to tell me which query you expect to be fired? Insert, update, delete. Insert query. Come on. You already have a student record. Only some of the fields are going to be altered. So here, of course, the update query will be fired on the student table. And you should see, if all goes well, then you should see the card details added in the places of null. So done this. I'll send you the Pojo. I'm sorry, not Pojo, the DAO I meant. In case you did not, right? What is it we have? Day 13.1, SRC, main, Java, DAO, student DAO. Okay, I've sent you this. Let us write a two-liner tester. So I'll simply say something. Student. Just copy it, or I'll send you in a minute. Link Aadhaar card to student. Okay. So this is fine. And enter student ID. So I've got this student ID here. Next and here I'll say enter card details. Later it can be a credit card, debit card, whatever payment options and all you can have. And all we are having here is Aadhaar card at line number 18. Which Aadhaar card at line number 18? Which line number 18 are you talking about? Oh, the spelling you mean. Okay, that can be this thing. Later I'll refactor it. Not a big deal. So here, what I wanted is, of course, I'll correct it, don't worry. So what I want to take is these details, right? Card number, creation date, and a location. Card number, creation date, and a location. So let's give that user card number, creation date, and location. And here, either you inline or give whatever. I'm inlining it. Link card details. So ID and new card. Next, the first one, the date, local date dot parse, sc dot next. And here you got location sc dot next. Okay. Oh. Next. So if you are thinking, just a second, I'll just. Okay. So if you are thinking that you are creating a Aadhaar card instance without that student instance and all, that is fine. But in my database, I'm not into core Java where I'm doing it, but in my database, as far as the embeddable and embedded is concerned, nobody will be able to create a insert only the Aadhaar card information. So don't get confused that you are creating Aadhaar card instance. Does not matter. Details do not have the standalone existence. So now let's refactor it. Spelling mistake. Okay. So let's run this and check whether it is working. So check your student records. I'm assigning it to A1, for example. Student ID 1 and the Aadhaar card details. Something. Creation date. And location. And like I told you, it is taking this. See this. Okay, I have so many things to say to this. This is thanks to get student.get. Sorry, session.get. And the thing I was asking you is which query will be fired. And forget about this. Take a look at it and tell me, are the Aadhaar card details set automatically? without you saying any update, without you saying anything, without you slogging basically. Tell me, working or not working? Working fine? Understood all the things, whatever I said? The embedded and embeddable. So which is the annotation we had to use over the value type to tell Hibernate that these contents are going to be embedded in the owning entity? Give me the name of the annotation at the rate embeddable. And is this compulsory? Is this mandatory or optional? 100% mandatory. Otherwise, how can your Hibernate understands? But when you add this has a relationship, student has a Aadhaar card. On the top of that, is that embedded annotation mandatory or optional? That is optional. Okay, but to keep track of the things, what is getting embedded into what, I generally recommend writing that. It is just one annotation, doesn't cost, but you can comment and 100% you will get the same same table, same behavior in short. Understood this completely? So this is one thing. Yeah, now pay attention to a query. Okay, so tell me, look at this query and tell me, what is it lifting? Student details, course details, both or neither? I said so many things in the first half. This is a simple select query. Of course, both. But in this case, think about it. Did I really want a course details or did I only require student details? Everyone agrees with me. Why? Because all I want to assign is an Aadhaar card where that course is coming in between. So tell me why it is also fetching the course details. Everything I had said, I just want to see whether you got it. Why it is lifting the course details also? You know the answer. Yes, what is eager? Yes, eager fetching. But what is eager fetching? I mean, what is it? Yes, exactly. Ashutosh gave me a better answer, full answer. Many to one by default works in what? Eager manner. So is there any solution or are we always stuck with this much of a data? Of course, there is a solution. Tell me which solution, which type. So guys, be little careful. When you make one correct, the other tester may stop working, but that is fun. That is what is learning. So, oh, which Pojo you want to open to make it as a default fetching policy, change it from eager to lazy? Which one should I open? Student, very right. So please open the student Pojo. What was that? Student.java. And which line will be edited? Give me the line number. Many to one. Let's not waste your time. I want to start you on Spring also and make it as htype.lazy. Done the change? Simply add. This here, your Hibernate doesn't ignore you, applies your instruction. Made the changes? Run the code again. Choose some other student ID and tell me what did you observe. Enter some other student ID and say 2. Oh, maybe that time there was no Aadhaar card. But anyway, so let's say Pune again. And you can see that first check always. So I can see the second student's Aadhaar card details are also updated via update query. And tell me which one is lightweight, earlier one or this one. In short, is it fetching the course details? Are you understanding the simple words, simple property and make so much of a change? I hope you are appreciating and enjoying Hibernate learning. So much of control they have given you. You just have to be smart, wise, and configure the project, configure the way you want it. I'm giving you so many options. I don't know what your project will require, so choose carefully. Clear about lazy versus eager, or other way, eager versus lazy? Okay, let's move on. Solve the next objective and we'll go to the something more. Yes, please. I want to display. I'm thought carefully, and then decide. I always decide. I spend a lot of time in designing the sequence, daily sequence. So display all student names having the Aadhaar card created between certain dates. So anyone wants to tell me? Will you be able? Okay, first of all, session.get or JPQL? I'll lead you the correct way and fast. Will you require JPQL for this or session.get? JPQL. Everyone clear? Now, what kind of a thing? I'll say something. Select A from Aadhaar card A, where A dot whatever creation date between between 2 days, colon start, colon end. Right or wrong? I'll repeat my statement. Select A from Aadhaar card A, where the A dot creation date is between 2 days. Wrong. Absolutely. Why? What is wrong about it? Tell me. Yes, please. You're right. Exactly. Aadhaar card is not, Aadhaar card table is wrong. You're off track. Aadhaar card is not an entity. And you can only access the entity. So that option is gone. It doesn't have a standalone existence. Absolutely correct. This is what I meant. You cannot access. So what is the only way I can access the Aadhaar card? Through which entity? Through which owning entity, guys? Absolutely right. So all we have is student. Okay. So start. I want the student names. So let's see. We'll design the JPQL and we'll solve it in a minute. Start. So select. Do I want all the student details or student names? Names. So S dot name. You remember we did all this in the first few days in Hibernate. From student S. I generally insist use aliases where things become clearer. Where clause has to come from you. Give me the where clause. It's not difficult. It's a nice navigation. Like how I showed you in EL syntax. The navigation, method chaining and all that. Same thing here. Tell me. I want the where clause from you. Waiting. Between you can drop. At least give me the next part of where. Where A dot card dot creation date. Which A you're talking about? I think you got this thing, Prashant. You're almost there. S. Yes, absolutely. So start with student. Your entity is student. What is the property name? I got, I think, card, whatever. And then you have that creation date. It's just a navigation through the properties. There is a very beautiful concept of something called as entity graph. It is a, people think of it as a next generation. Next generation means, I mean, better even than JPQL. So we simply don't have time. I'm just finding hard to explain the things with JPQL, but you can definitely do value addition. JPQL versus entity graph. Google it and so many good articles you'll find. Just keep it at the back of your mind. We are happy with this though, where this thing is between, whatever. Start and end. I said there is another level, next generation kind, next level entity graphs where you can solve it without writing a JPQL. But currently, just focus on JPQL. That is what I'll be showing you even in Spring Boot. So are we good here? So pick this up. Let's finish this and go on to something else. Move on to something else. So here, this has to be in student now since your value type doesn't have any existence. So add a method to get student names by the finder is Aadhaar card creation date. Wait for a topic called as Spring Data JPA and you will see so much reduction of code. So all I'm going to get is what will be the type, generic type of the list? Will it be student or will it be string? String, you know that. All I'm lifting from the database is name. So list of string, get student names by Aadhaar card creation date. And here, all I'll be taking from user is the range. Local date, start. Just a second, I'll maximize this. Date, end. Okay. Are the inputs clear? Control Shift O, Java util.test, finish. import, fixing the imports. Open the student DAO implementation class. I'm maintaining a particular speed today, knowing that your basics, hoping that your basics are here. Override implement. Okay. Copy that boilerplate code. Create a list of strings. Names equal to null. So much of code you write these days. That is why we gave you so much of practice in core Java, so that you don't find it too difficult in advanced Java. And all you have is a JPQL. I'll simply copy it. No point in wasting time. If I messed up, well, no. S.name looks okay. Student has a name, I'm sure. Student has a name. Yes. And what else we have? The property name is card. And here, I'm just checking the creation date. Yeah. So select s.name from this, where s.card.creation date is between something and something, right? So now all you have is names. Create query. Single argument or two arguments? Two arguments, because it is a JPQL select returning a result. JPQL. And since the result type is a string.class, then set parameter, two parameters. In parameters we are setting. The name is start here. And the value is, oh. So if you want, you can always change it. Otherwise, you will feel later, you will say that, okay, it has to match with this. Nothing, what has to match. Set parameter. And here, the whole idea is even after 10 days, you should not feel lost. And get result list. Okay. Fine. So we got this and we are returning. Only thing was, interesting thing was a query, the where class. Understood it? And I'll just send you this in case you want the DAO, student DAO MPL. Let's write a tester for this. Get student names from Aadhaar card date, something. Oh, not this, sorry. Get student names from Aadhaar card date. So what I'll be accepting from user is the begin date and end date, right? And that's it. Here. Student names by this and local dates. You can, of course, use import static to make it lesser. Okay. So, okay, this is going to be a list. So I'll not SOP it. I'll just use the for each. You can use a SOP for each, whatever you like. Okay. So are we done here? Begin date and end date, calling the method, and let's see. You look at the data. So I have got something from 2001 to 2010. Let's see. And the names expected are A1 and A2. This doesn't have the thing. So let me see the date. Suppose I go to the end of that year. So year, month, and day. Month to, let's say, 2020. Only this? A1 only? should have given this, right? What is the input I gave? Oh, 2009 I gave. I wanted to say 1999. Anyway, you got my point. My input was wrong. 001, 2000 also I can give. I'm just checking whether it is returning me a list properly or not. That's all I'm checking. So you can see that all the students' details, names, not the student details. You can see the query here. And there's no course getting course details unnecessarily lifted because we changed it from eager to lazy. Is it working fine? I'll send you the tester in case you want it. The latest tester. Get what? Get student names from Aadhaar card date. Yeah. Just giving you more and more practice of writing JPQL, which is what you are going to require heavily in your projects. You will let me know, then I will take you further. Waiting for your feedback, response. Don't waste your time writing a tester. I have sent you the tester, so I don't want to wait for you to write tester. If you say, no, I'm writing a DAO layer JPQL, you'll definitely wait. You're not supposed to waste time in writing tester. I'm giving you one. Only 2 said done. What about others? Any more dones? Okay, so you have understood it, guys. Fine. I'm not asking you to respond, but I just want to go ahead. So now we are moving on to something more. Coming to the end of this Hibernate part. So what I have shown you is one-to-one. See, one entity, one student having one Aadhaar card. So it is a one-to-one association, one-to-one mapping between entity and a value type. But in your projects in real world, you might require one-to-many association, not association, mapping between entity and value type. So example makes it so easy. So here, example of collection of something called as basic value types. So hear me. Can one student maintain or manage more than one hobby? It's a easy question. Of course, yes. I mean, there's a freedom of expression and all that, and all that freedom of whatever. So the point is one student can have multiple hobbies, not just Java, React, and life is all about, you know that. So the point is the hobby, I can make it as a separate class, separate embeddable class. And I can say name of the hobby, my level, whether I'm a professional or amateur, how many hours I'm spending, etc. But that example I have already shown you, Aadhaar card thing. So here I'm creating a basic value type. So what is the meaning of basic value type? You tell me. This string, is it a, what do you say, Java built-in type or is it a user-defined type? Easy question. It's a built-in type, right? So I'm showing you example of a collection of basic value type. So one student having multiple hobbies. So what type of a relationship you have between student and a hobby? Is a, uses a, or has a? Has a. Absolutely. Next one, composition or aggregation. Can you just think of a hobby without a person attached to it? Of course not. So again, a composition. And how are you going to achieve this composition? By putting something in the inner class style or using some annotation? Answer is using some annotation. Are you getting it? So naturally, hobby is a string. So I'll not have any, what is it called? Any separate class. I'll just have private list of hobbies as a list of string in the student class, and we'll see what happens. Okay. So that is one next example. And I'll finish both of them and then we will start the coding. Like how student has an Aadhaar card, student has an address, student has whatever, something else. I mean, a course selected and all. Student has the educational qualifications. Meaning what? You must have done that resume filling activity of CDAC, where you have to supply the 10th marks, 12th marks, degree marks, experience, diplomas, etc. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So we as a student, will you have a single qualification or will you have like 10th, 12th degree, diploma, etc.? I mean, couple of annotations, single or multiple? Of course, multiple. And now this time I'm showing you, see, this is all my effort to show you everything in one project. So then you can pick up and use this as a reference case study to apply it in your projects, these ideas. So can one student have multiple? Yes. But educational qualifications don't mean anything unless and until you have an associated student. In short, can it have, should this be configured as entity or embeddable? I mean, yeah, you can tell me entity or embeddable, or I can say entity or value type. Yes, please. Educational qualifications should be created as what? Of course, an embeddable. So you already know at embeddable annotation, but the difference between Aadhaar card and educational qualification, student has a Aadhaar card 1-to-1 and student has a educational qualifications 1-to-many. So that is what we are going to, I mean, these two we are going to take it as the example of collection of, this is collection of, what is it called? Value, basic value types, string type. And this is an example of collection of embeddables. Okay. And the complete diagram I have already shared with you. I was hoping to cover it on on Saturday. So which way? I mean, which we never could. So on day 12 help, day 12 data, day 12 help. Open. First of all, let me just quickly check because since I had not covered, I don't know whether I had given you this. Give me a sec. Day 12 data, day 12 help diagrams. Yeah, they were shared. So please open from day 12 data. Two diagrams, entity versus value type. You take a look at it. This is a better diagram. So start looking at it quickly. When I say Hibernate types, what I mean is Hibernate Pojo types. So what are the two categories of Hibernate Pojo? One, you can configure it as standalone entity, which has its own identity, its own primary key, and it has got its own life cycle, which is from transient to persistent to detached to removed. You got it? So this doesn't depend on any other entity. Whereas you have a dependent object called as value type. And here, when we created this Aadhaar card, where it had a separate existence, separate primary key. So object of a value type does not have a database identity as in through primary key. It belongs to the owning entity, and Aadhaar card details you saw, they were embedded in the table of a student. So we have already started looking at value type. Understood so far? The difference between entity and a value type? Okay. So now there are further categorization, further categories of value type. So one is basic type, which is the value type of a Java built-in type, string, date, calendar, anything. So that is the example I'm going to show you. Student has hobbies. Then composite type is nothing but your embeddable, a user-defined type. Example was this thing. What is it called? Aadhaar card. And I'm showing you now what I'm showing you is the collection of basic types also, list of hobbies, list of strings, and another list of embeddables, list of composite types as the list of educational qualifications. So that we will complete all the important parts of Hibernate and then we'll move on to Spring. Okay, so let's get going. Please open the, what do you say, sequence. So first let us configure this thing. So open your student class. All we are configuring is value types now. Entities, all relationships and entities I have covered already. So open the student.java and here give a title always. So it is one-to-many. One-to-many mapping. It's a collection. Collection of basic types, and basic type being the string. You can have string, phone numbers, anything. One-to-many mapping. between what? Entity. Which entity we are configuring? We already have here a student and the hobbies. Okay. So this is what we are configuring. So which is the entity type and which is the value type? This is your entity type. This is your basic. Why it is called as basic value type? It is because it is a Java built-in type. If you want to tell Hibernate that all these, by the way, all these are the examples. This is your basic value type. This is your basic value type. So you already know that. But I had not shown you the collection of basic value type. So this is a collection based property. So now let's add private list string and say hobbies. The moment you say you declare a collection based data member, should you leave it null or empty? Of course, empty. And the easiest one, the quickest one is add a list. Okay. The moment you add property, let it be embeddable, let it be value type or let it be, what is it called? Entity type. Next thing is, before you forget, generate setters and getters. Got this? So what I did is I added a property, which is what? Described as collection of basic type, and we added that. Done this much. If you run now the test Hibernate, okay, run this. Let me not say this. You run it. So I'm running the test Hibernate. Observe and conclude. Working or exception? Exception. So here, the moment you have a collection of, let it be entities, let it be embeddables, let it be basic value type, you need to annotate. It is simply not finding out the enough information. So I have a question for you. Which will be the annotation? Which would be the annotation you would have used if it was collection of entities? We've done this. Which annotation would have come here if it was an entity and not a value type? No clue, no idea? One to many is a very right answer. Are you understanding? You had one course and multiple students. Which annotation you applied? One to many. But that was entity to entity mapping. But we have entity to value type mapping. So of course you don't have that. You have another annotation. It is a collection of elements, collection of components. So the annotation is @element collection. Add that. And it gives you such a beautiful, such a clear-cut description. Specifies collection of instances of either basic type, which is string now, and later embeddable also, same annotation. You don't have to learn it twice. So here, actually they have given an example also. A person can have different nicknames, so set of nicknames, etc. So it is collection of entity types we are configuring, or collection of value types. E or V. E for entity, V for value. It is a collection of value types. And is it a collection of basic value types or embeddable types? Basic value types. So here, please add a word mandatory for configuring what? Collection of basic value types. In a minute, we'll write that other embeddable educational qualification and we will add, same annotation works. Now, pause here. This is compulsory. So now, can one student have multiple hobbies? 100% yes. So tell me, if you go for normalization, okay, if you go for optimal performance in database, where should these hobbies be stored? I'll talk an example. Suppose you are a student and you are very fond of, let's say, movies or, trekking, or you say something like cricket, football, whatever, singing, music, dancing, something. So suppose you have got 5 hobbies. I'm just saying. So tell me, where should these hobbies information be added? Tell me, in the student table or in a separate table? Of course, separate table. Guys, when it is one-to-many, whenever there is a multiplicity, if you say you will add it in student table, you will have to add the redundant information, duplicate information of, take a look at your student, of what? Of all this ID, email, etc., 5 times. So, is Hibernate dumb enough to add it in the student table? Absolutely not. Hibernate is all about a normalization. So tell me, do you expect to, okay, so what do you think Hibernate will do? 100% will create a separate table. Anyone wants to tell me what will be the columns of that separate table? Show me your database understanding. Which will be the columns of that separate table? Tell me. I've already got the answer. Student ID, exactly, and hobbies. So hobbies will be its own primary member, and student ID, what it will be? Primary key or foreign key? Primary key, come on. There is no primary key. This is not an entity, it's a value type, a foreign key, which references. But as usual, if you add only this annotation, who will decide the name of the table and the name of the foreign key column? Hibernate. If you want to configure further, there is a new annotation, collection table. So since it is a collection of value types, add collection. Everything gets over with a couple of annotation. It takes time. I'm not saying that, okay, I tell you and you understand. Over time, read this. So such a great help. Specifies the table that is used for mapping of multiple entities? No. Collections of either basic or embeddable. And which is what we want. So choose collection table. Same. Name. Name is equal to, this is what student have, hobbies. So I can say, or you can say hobbies, doesn't matter. And then you have the foreign key column. I'm just thinking join columns or foreign key. I forgot actually. I think join columns. Join column. Let's try join column. I think foreign key column also will work. I am not sure. I've forgotten which one. So this one definitely works. And name is going to be, let's say, student ID or something. Okay. So here, the new table student hobbies should get created with the foreign key column name of student ID. But yeah, the column name will be hobbies. Fine. I'll just reduce the length of it. Column length equal to maybe 100. Okay, so which two columns would be there in our student hobbies table? Student ID, foreign key referencing the primary key of a student, and other one will be hobbies, and which will have this column length and all that. Understood the configuration? I'll send you this. I'll send you the whole student class maybe. Understanding takes time, implementation doesn't. So this is the time you spend understanding things, because in project phase, you're going to require all these applications. So by the time you actually start working day in and day out, 24/7 in that project phase, you should have no confusion in concepts and little bit of practice also. Are we done? Can we test it? Okay, so just run the test Hibernate script once again and see success or failure. So as you can see, create table. Who has decided the name? Hibernate or us? Us, I mean programmers. Which was the, what is it called? Annotation used for it, collection table. And how did this name got assigned? From the join column. This was same as property name. And this is the constraint, not constraint, varchar size. Of course, you have to check this. Describe what was that? I forgot. Student hobbies here. So take a look at it. And you should have a student ID, multiplicity constraint. Again, I'm asking you, are you, see, first half of Hibernate, you feel, okay, I was good in JDBC. But when you start entity to entity relationships, and when you have entity and value type, I hope everyone agrees. Hibernate is such a better option or such a cooler option than your JDBC. Getting a feel of it or not? Understood? Working? And I hope you are agreeing with this, or you will get interested in learning Hibernate in a deep manner. Okay, so this was it. We'll add the hobbies and all in a minute. So you can see foreign key constraint and all. So let us take up the last one and wrap up Hibernate. There are certain things which I want to show you, but I typically show it with the Spring Boot Hibernate integration in short later. So now let us take a look at last part. Can one student have multiple educational qualification? 100% yes. But educational qualification, I don't want to create it as a basic type. I want to create it as a user-defined type. So let us create a embeddable class and see the same annotation at the rate, what was it? Element collection, and the same approach, and whole thing done by Hibernate again. So just pick up this. We are we are creating another class, embeddable class, very similar to your Aadhaar card. Let's add photos class educational qualifications. Spelled it right? Yeah. And it's going to be a embeddable. Just add the properties here. So you have type, educational type as enum. Let's start creating. I don't have it. We'll fix it in a minute. The year of passing that particular education, 10th, 12th, degree, diploma, whatever. So what is it I've got? Int year and maybe marks obtained. Or you can say GPA, grade, anything, whatever you want to maintain. So let's create a enum here. I didn't get the option. I mean, it must be somewhere. So Pojos, choose a enum, educational type. You can give whatever. So suppose it is a state board or CBSE board or whatever. You can have SSC, CBSE, whatever. In 10th, basically, you can have the higher higher standard, anything. And you have maybe a diploma you are having. So you are mentioning the degree marks, something. So I'm just creating some educational types. So 10th marks, 12th marks, diploma, degree, anything, whatever you are adding. So are we getting it here? Correct. Start with the default constructor. Add don't say extends base entity, it is not a base entity. So it is an embeddable value type. It is a user-defined type and signifies the composition between entity and this. In a minute, we will add the annotations. What is it we have? Constructor using fields. And add all setters and getters. You can say passing date and all also later. And generate the toString. It doesn't have any association mapping and all that, this side. That we are going to configure it from the owning side. So a toString, simple toString. And let's add the annotations. As you already know, there won't be any entity, any ID, but it will have your embeddable. Later, when I show you the demo of composite primary key, exactly same, @embeddable. Suppose I say my employee has, a combination employee ID and company ID, or employee ID and department ID. So you will create employee primary key class. You will label it with @embeddable, and employee has an employee primary key. You will add it in your employee class with the tag with the annotation of @ID. Okay, so that way you can create a composite primary key. Over time, I'll explain. So at embeddable is fine. This is the enum. If I don't add this enumerated annotation, which type of a column will it create? Ordinal or constant? I mean constant name or ordinal position. You know that ordinal position. So please give the enumeration type as string. And I want type name is fine. I just want to reduce the length. Oh, this doesn't have a link. My mistake, sorry. At the rate column, I meant. Column length is equal to, our educational types are even lesser than that. Year and marks is all fine. So I think we are done here. Let me send you. You let me know whenever you are done. We'll move on to the owning side. This is a value type. This is an embeddable side. Completed. Very good. So move on to student has a educational qualification side. Okay. So add the comment first. It is a entity to value type. I hope you are understanding. It is always unidirectional. You can never access value type in your JPQL because it doesn't have a standalone existence. So I showed you that earlier example. So it is a unidirectional always. There is no concept of a bidirectional association. So guys, these are the project tips. Because some of the students, I mean, so many ask me, how do I know whether to configure it as entity and a value? Simple, straightforward thumb rule. If you want a bidirectional association, what will you configure it as? Has to be entity. If you want to have a separate existence, separate database identity primary key, entity type or a value type, E or V, entity type. If you want to access it from JPQL, like select A from address A, something has to be entity. But if you say no, it is a tight, strong coupling where it is a dependent object, then I'll definitely say composition, go for value type. So at least spend 2 days. Now you have some idea. So just as a practice run, you can take a small part of your end project. If your database design is ready, you can just think of how you are going to map it to POJOs. And most important thing is you can start configuring. You might take a call that later I want to do it in .NET, but still Java practice will never go west. Because similar thing, entity frameworks and all you'll be learning in .NET, and the concept is the same, syntax changes. So in short, this practice will definitely help you. So entity to value type, and it will be a collection because one student can have multiple educational qualification. Will it be collection of basic value types or will it be a collection of embeddables? Currently, educational qualification is what? The built-in type or user-defined type? It's a user-defined type. So what is the answer? It's a collection of embeddables. But thankfully, annotation is the same. So you'll see it extremely easy. So let me say list of what will be E replaced by? E replaced by educational qualification. What else? So here, this will be educational qualifications. Qualifications. Never leave the collection null. Other than many to many. Most often used collection is RLS. Maps are hardly used, very, very rarely used in Hibernate. There are some use cases, but we have not yet come across them. So this is in composite primary key. Yes, you will have something. So anyway, list of this is fine. This is okay. Before we forget, generate getter and a setter. The moment you add a property which is not transient type, immediately add. Even for transient type also you can add, but it won't be really required. Anyway, and now most importantly, which is the annotation we used for collection of basic type? Element collection, same. So here I'm not copy pasting, so you'll get a second round of revision. 100% same, 100% mandatory. Remove it in the lab session, you'll get a mapping exception. So this is done. Now tell me, the moment you have multiplicity, one too many, do you want these educational qualifications? Do you expect to store it in the students table or separate table? Separate table and linked with foreign key. So 100% one annotation is sufficient, but who will decide the name of that table? Hibernate. So is there any way to override it? Whole discussion is the same. So you have a, see guys, don't get confused. Many to many, the annotation is join table, that is for entities. And collection table is for your entity and collection of embeddables, collection of elements, collection of value types. So keep it separate and you won't get confused. So here is the, I'll say student qualifications, something. Give always good names which you'll understand. So here I'm mentioning all student qualifications and the join column is add join column, same thing. And name you can keep anything. Generally, I will again suggest give the standard names which you realize. So I'm going to give it as the same. Can be different. I can make your student ID, I can make your SID. Doesn't have any matching rules. And now what we have is qualifications, and I'm just reducing the varchar size. Just a second. No. What am I talking about? I don't have to. That is already done with the embeddable. Sorry, my mistake. I said I was thinking on the value type, but here we have already taken care. So anyone wants to tell me how many columns would be there in that table? Which table? Student qualification table. There would be these three naturally: type, year, and marks, and additionally one more. Which one? 4. Yeah, that student ID, foreign key referencing the student's ID. So I think we are done here. Element collection and all is fine. So let's add that. Run the test Hibernate and check the table generation, automatic table creation. So you should see this. Student ID, yes. Marks, type, year, all this is fine. And added the foreign key also. Confirm once. Student qualification, I'll just take this. Student ID, foreign key, marks, types, year, varchar, and all. Yes. Is your table generated as per our requirement, as per our instructions, and understanding it also? So now let us wrap up this Hibernate business by adding the entire object graph. So this is the last and final before we enter spring. So of course, I'll just tell you a little bit ahead. So today, tomorrow, only spring. Day 3 generally, we start adding Hibernate. Of course, I'll show you first Spring MVC in a web application, and then there will be a proper integration of Spring MVC Hibernate. So for next 2 days, we will not discuss in Hibernate. We will only focus on Spring. Coming back, before that, here we want to populate entire object graph of a student. Means what? Student has a, okay, I have not mentioned, it has a course, student opts for a course. Student, so we have, I think we have already got that, but I want to assign an Aadhaar card. I want to assign his or her hobbies, educational qualifications in one tester, and we'll see the magic or power of Hibernate. Is it impressive enough? I mean, are you getting interested in knowing more and more? So what are the inputs I'll be taking? I said Aadhaar card, yeah. So I have got a student already. So we will take up a student which doesn't have, okay, I have a student where Aadhaar card details are not yet mentioned. So we'll add that. Sorry, where are we? And in addition to that, we will take the address. I don't know address details. Let's see whether address details also. Aadhaar card details, hobbies, educational qualification, and that should give you a feel of completion. Is the requirement clear? I have just got student admitted in my database. For example, A3. Let's see. Select. I'm just taking the stock of address table. Okay, I don't have anything. So what all we are going to assign is the requirement clear? It's a tall requirement. So only thing I have got a student assigned or admitted in a sorry, where is that? Yeah, only thing is which relationship is established? Student to course relationship. His admission is done, but we have not yet accepted his or her address details, card details, hobbies, and qualifications. Are you with me? Are you understanding what we are attempting? What all we are going to attempt is clear. So I'm nothing but population of entire object graph. So we will prepare the object graph in heap, and we will allow the Hibernate, or we'll say whether Hibernate can does the things properly. 100% requirement is clear. Tell me, answer me, guys, something. Okay. So let's try this. So here, where should you do it? Let's just Control-Shift-W. I'm going to write a Dowler method. So you tell me, where should I write the Dowler method? Which DAO? Student DAO, course DAO, address DAO, whatever. I mean, student DAO. It's a student's details we are filling up, right? Okay, so student DAO. I'll say add a method to populate complete details of the existing student. You can always start in the admission process itself. You know, it's a form. You when we integrate it with web application, you can say that okay, basic student details, name, email, next button, ask you address, next button, ask you educational qualifications, likewise you can imagine. So this is what it is. And since it is an insertion, just this insert complete student details. I hope with this you will understand. I'll give you a minute. You tell me what is it which goes in. Let's see whether you have got it. Answer is all here. That is why I've shared the sequence with you. So yes, please. I have already given the clue. So what all we are going to have here, guys? All these inputs, what else? So student email, address details in the address Pojo instance, Aadhaar card, hobbies and educational qualification add. Or you can do it this way also. No, I was thinking just student and that object graph populated in the tester. So either way, let's do it in the down layer. So here I'll start with the email ID. Oh, I said you can do this population of object graph either in the down layer or in the tester. So here I'm doing it in the down layer. You can change it to tester anytime. Student has an address. So address A. Next is student has an Aadhaar card. Next is student has a list of hobbies. And what was it? List of qualifications. This whole data will be, accepted using different forms in the web application, and that will be given to the backend. Backend means database and all that. So this is like qualifications. Let me see. Have we taken everything? Let's check. Have we left out anything? Email, address, card, hobbies, and tests. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Have I got it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. So this is what we are building here. Front view the DAO layer interface. Open this thing, implementation class, add a method. Source, override implement method, and do this. Copy the boilerplate code. Change message return the message. Is failed. I'm just using this trick so that I don't have to do that if else condition and return the message. I'll wait here till you reach because things have to come from you. Done this much? Okay. Now, this is all standard set this. So what is the first step? You tell me step by step. You tell me the comment, and writing code is so easy. The moment I have an input as an email, what is it I should use? Student reference by JPQL. Absolutely. So get persistent student reference using, the moment I say email, email is not an ID. It's a unique key. Of course, JPQL single result. Get single result. So add JPQL is equal to, this part is now pretty standard. Select as from this. You can drop aliases in this case anytime you want. This where, okay. I hope I have given you sufficient practice in Hibernate last 4 or 5 days. You have practice, I hope, enough. Select this, fine. You can copy from earlier code, no problem. It takes the similar time. Query. Class. Then set parameter. Name of the parameter is em. Value is email. And then get single result. Done this much. So if the control comes to the next line, what does it indicate? Valid email ID or invalid email ID? Valid email ID. Otherwise, this method throws you exception. So now I can say S is 100%. This get single result either returns your persistent closure reference or throws exception. There's no in between something. In short, null checking is not required. Now, be little smart. Okay, I don't want to say anything. So tell me, now I want to attach the address. You tell me. Because that is the only thing little tricky. Rest all the things are so easy. Anyone wants to tell me, how do I assign the address? You understood? User is going to give me, user means student. Student, so in the email or something, some form will be filled up. Yes, anyone? I've given you the address reference. So what is the next thing? I'll say here, link students address. You just tell me how. We have written that method earlier, but I don't want to refer to that method. Give me the code here. It's a revision. Guys, fast. No clue, no nothing. Can I? Yes, absolutely. Very right. I was just afraid. See, can you go from student to address? Tell me. Some of you have already answered, but others, majority has not answered. Can I navigate from student to address? You're saying yes. Come on, check. It's a unidirectional. I spent so much time in the morning. Why unidirectional from address to site? Okay, so no. So there is no way I can say s dot set address to address, but can I navigate from address to student? Yes. So here we are going from address to student. Okay, so I have a question. What will happen if I say session.persist? What was that? A. Guys, don't trust. Okay, first answer me. Let's see. I have not done the linking, and you directly say session.persist A. What will happen? First, foreign key null, exception, or all is well? No exception and the result. I give you 3 options. I said foreign key will be null, option 1. Second option, exception, ID generation exception, or nothing. Wrong answer. Try it out. It's definitely interesting. Guys, you remember address doesn't have its own key. Address is going to share the primary key with the student. So currently, what is the value of the student reference here? Since you have not linked, it is null. So can it derive the primary key in a shared manner from the student? Answer is no. And 100% you will get something like ID generation exception. Please try it out. Okay? Try it out in the lab. To enjoy. Enjoy means to see. ID generation exception. So please tell me, what is it I'll have to do before I persist the address record? What is it I'll have to do? That is what you have given me. First, you have to establish the link. And the moment you have a link established from address to student, then your Hibernate will take, thanks to that maps ID annotation, the primary key of student and assign the same primary key to the address. So in short, here, first link address to student. I'm saying comment this line definitely in the lab session and tell me when I joined, did you observe any exception? So what is that? A dot set that we had done other day, if you remember, set student to S. I'm saying I'll rephrase this. Okay, see. So that I want people to try. Sorry. Comment this line and to see all this. Are you understanding what I want you to try? Why will it get an ID generation exception? Because we are using shared primary key approach. That is the reason. So this is fine. This is done. Now tell me, have we populated? By the way, you can do this persist towards the end also. Doesn't matter wherever you do it. Finally, only at commit, the insertion will happen. Tell me, are we done or do we have to, anything more or are we done? Of course, we are not done. So now tell me, can I access can I access the can I go from student to Aadhaar card or card to student? Of course, Aadhaar card, student to Aadhaar card. So now we are on the easy path. The only trick was address to student. So that I added this thing. So now link Aadhaar card. When I say link Aadhaar card, what I mean is just call a setter. Set card and card. Now link hobbies. All this is super easy because it's a value type. I don't have to think about primary key, separate existence, nothing. S dot set hobbies. And then link qualifications, educational calls. This is all done with a setter. So S dot set whatever, set qualifications and the qualifications. So when your Hibernate, if all goes well, if I messed up something, of course, we'll have to solve, we'll have to debug. So upon commit, can you tell me before running it, which queries you think will be fired? Which SQL queries will be fired? Tell me. And let's see whether that is impressive enough for you to learn JPA Hibernate. Tell me which queries. I hope you are writing it, because there are a couple of queries which will be getting inserted, getting called automatically. I'm waiting for your answer. Is the question clear? Which queries you expect to see upon commit? Wrong answer. Select never waits till. I've said it so many times. Tell me the line number when the select query will be fired, because you are completely wrong. Tell me the line number where the select query will be fired. No, I'm asking you an earlier question because I got a horribly wrong answer from somebody. Select query doesn't wait till commit. Which is the line number where the select gets called? Guys, line number 122. So it is not going to wait. Otherwise, how can you link the details which are not lifted from the database? So here itself, if you're confused, no issues. You're still a beginner, fresher. Select query immediately. Doesn't wait for this. This is not this. So here, of course, the insert and update. But this is a shallow answer. I want a deep answer. Insert queries. Tell me, in which table? You're right, but I want more. Insert query is where? Yes, only address. Yes, somebody is giving me a better answer. Address, hobbies, and qualification. Yes, Yogesh, very good. Complete answer. I don't have to ask him more. Insert in address table. You know why? What was that? Hobbies. Okay. Yeah, hobbies table. We have hobbies, whatever that name of the table. Student hobbies, I know. And of course, that qualifications table. Right? And since the Aadhaar card details are embedded in this update query in student table is what? Our expectation. Let's see whether the expectation meets the actual. Have I returned the message? Okay, after doing this, I'll just add a message to be success. So here, change that message to be a successful one. Okay, insertion of complete detail successful and this. And let's write a tester, which I will write for you. Anyway, I'll send you this. And all you have to write is a tester for this. So I'm going to take that earlier one. Somewhere there was link Aadhaar card to student will be good. Yeah. So Control V. I'm copying from link Aadhaar card to student because you know it is closest to that. So I'll say insert. What is it I should say? Assign complete student details, or you can say complete the graph, object graph, student. From student, we are going down the line, down the object graph line. Oh. Okay, complete this. And let's start and expand on that. Here I'm accepting the student email. So we'll have this equal to this thing, sc dot next. So now let's take the address details. Correct? And just go to that address Pojo constructor, city, state, country, zip code. Okay, create a address object from it, encapsulate it in the address entity. This is a complete discussion. So only thing I don't have is the add the student to the project, but that is not during this. Student gets admitted, gives all this information, and then we add the student to a particular project. We don't have a project yet. We will do that in the lab thing. So address. Don't have the. It's not possible that I don't have the constructor. I have the constructor. I think I gave the wrong inputs, wrong imports. What was that address? I got it actually. I don't know why I'm not getting this. Oh, look at new. I was wondering why I'm not getting a completion, auto completion. City. These are string details. I'll send you this in a minute. So address details are taken. Aadhaar card details are already here. So I'll take it in a. I'm just picking this up. Okay. So this takes our Aadhaar card details. This will be all later coming from the forms and all. Or if you really build it in a full stack manner, React will have forms and you will have Axios, and Axios will be making a backend call, just one post call, you know, and this entire student object will be sent to the backend. That is what it is total impressive in full stack. So in short, the view layer and all part you will be taking care in React, not here, not in the backend. So Aadhaar card is done. Next is what I have to take is the educational qualifications, right? List hobbies first. So let's say enter hobbies. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll take this whole list, string hobbies, and here we'll say sc dot next line. Can I do that? Wait a second. I'm just give me a minute. So Aadhaar card after that. So I'll have to read sc dot next line once, I guess. Yeah. This takes more time. And here I'll do a little bit of a trick. I'm just thinking which will be easier. Streams will be difficult for you now. So let's have another scanner. I'll explain this code in a minute. Scanner 2. One scanner was associated with what? User input. But you can assign a scanner with a string also. So here the string is hobbies. And I'm just going to parse it while I'll explain the code after I write it. While sc2.next, I'll have to create a list of hobbies empty. Actually, streams programming would have been easier. Anyway, list string. Let me write the code parallelly. Whatever you understand, you can. Otherwise, I'll explain it anyway. Hobby list, new array list. And while doing that, yes, we can add the. I'm just remove this. Otherwise, every time I'll have to say enter your hobbies and do it in the loop. So I just did it in a separate manner. Block our code. Okay. So stop coding for a minute and understand this. Here, after entering the card details, user is going to press enter. So I'm reading of that pending new line. I'm creating an empty list of strings which will be populated into hobby list. I'm asking user to enter the hobbies. Are you clear so far? Yes or no? The code which I have explained so far is clear. Now the only thing is, okay, so what I'm doing is I'm reading. So, okay, let me say this. What will be the input? User says, and I tell user to enter hobbies. So for example, my hobbies are music and let's say trekking. So I'll be adding it in the one line. So we will add those hobbies in one line, enter hobbies in a single line, space separated. Otherwise, this code, then you'll have to say has next line or more complications, space separated. So now when I read this, suppose I have user has given me reading, music, and trekking. Okay. So all these three words will be read and they are in the hobbies. Now, like how you're used to entire core Java, we were attaching a scanner. One constructor was with the input stream. If you take this constructor, this is a constructor. Scanner is such a powerful delimiter which can delimit, which can parse any string data. So I have created another scanner. See, this one scanner was for command line input, keyboard. This another scanner only for what? Reading the string. So you remember on the first day of core Java or something, I had shown you has next is a blocking method. So I'll check, is there any token in the scanner? Oh, here is a mess. Okay, so I'm checking if there is a token, and till there is a token, I'll keep reading the tokens and populating it here. If you have not understood a word, I'll just give a whatever SOP, and I'm just printing the hobby list. There is another way. You remember we have talked about functional streams in Java. So there is a way. where you can use collectors.toList and joining and partitioning and all. But again, then I'll have to explain new API. So this I thought easier. If you did not understand a word, remove it, enter. So you have a for loop. Let's say you want just maybe 3-4 hobbies. Run it that many times and do it. Okay, so whichever way you understand is good for me. So now let us add the, oh sorry, we have got this. So assign it. No, we are just creating different objects. So you tell me guys, somewhat clear? 5%, 10%? This is a core Java code. So right now, don't let it bother you. You look at it in the lab session. If you're still not clear, one of us will explain. Next one. So now here I'll make it in a simple manner. So I want, let's say, minimum 3 qualifications, 10th marks, 12th marks, and the degree marks. Okay, so for int I equal to 0, I less than, because there are a lot of things. Now I can't do this parsing in an easy manner. I plus plus. I'm saying enter educational qualification. I'm just trying to give you the completion concept, completion this. And here, just go to that educational qualification. And what are we expecting is type, year, and marks. This is the most advanced thing which a Hibernate can offer you. Type, I forgot, what was it next? Year. Year was next or marks was next? Year was next, okay. Type, year, and the marks obtained. And all you are doing is, let us create a list outside, list of educational qualifications. All pure core Java code, collection framework types. And here you'll simply add it to calls.add new. We have the constructors and all that. Educational qualifications. This is a enum. So you know, value of method. Nothing, not a word is new. And then you say sc.next dot to uppercase. Okay. And these are all ints, I guess. Next int here. Next also integer. I'll send you, that is what I said. You just focus on understanding my code. So we are done. Okay, so this is not required. So let's see where we are. So I think we have populated entire object graph in the memory. You also check, I'm also checking. So all I'm giving is the email ID, taking the address details, taking the card details, taking the hobbies, and so here we are taking the qualifications. Okay, so just list out the educational qualifications also. In case we make a silly mistake, we should know. And then we are going to call DAO layer method to, this is your impedance mismatch. We are setting up the object world and Hibernate is responsible for matching it in the database. This is that paradigm mismatch, object world to database. So to call DAO layer method to reflect same object graph in database. And I have got just a message, right? So I'll SOP that message. And what is the DAO layer reference I have got here? Student DAO. Student DAO dot complete graph, insert complete details. And you got email, you got address, you got Aadhaar card, hobby list, and qualifications. So this was quite a bit time required for populating the object graph. We are not talking about Hibernate here. We are talking about just a core Java tester. So where is it? Assign complete student details. I've sent you the code. We have not tested it, but we'll test it together. Okay, so let's do some things. Let's try this. So now choose a student which doesn't have the address. Otherwise, you can't overwrite the address. It is one-to-one. So I'm just checking. You also check. Select from. Okay. In my case, I don't have any address. I'll repeat, guys. Pick up the student ID, which has which has only the course ID. So, for example, here in the students table, I'm picking up the last one, which doesn't have Aadhaar card, no hobbies, no qualifications, no address also. So pick up accordingly, otherwise you'll definitely see errors. Okay, so it will be a duplicate primary key kind of error. Forgot which one, a3@gmail.com. Still, we might have a problem, but at least let's be careful. Okay, address, zip code, Aadhaar card details, creation date, the location, the hobbies in a single line, okay. So see that I'm putting the SOP so that I immediately know what is it. So I'm entering the educational qualification. So type source, you'll have to give the type properly now. I think CBSC we opted for, not the SSC. Just a second. I'm just checking. Don't give a wrong thing here. Otherwise, unnecessarily your time will be wasted. I'm going to enum. Yeah, so CBSC, HSC, and degree I'm going to give, for example. So type is this year, some year you can give. I mean, we are not doing any validation, computing 2 years, 4 years, whatever, anything you can just give. So now the type is, suppose, higher secondary, that is HSC in Maharashtra at least. And of course, CBSC has 10+2. And the degree, year +4, marks, something. And see whether your Hibernate is maintaining or other understanding or solving the great problem of impedance mismatch. That is, you just configure your object world properly and rely on Hibernate to generate all the details. You can see so easily. So start looking at it. At least I'm not getting any errors, but I'm not yet sure. So we are doing the careful business. Address table. So what is it I expect to see? Address details with a shared primary key of 3. Okay, so here are your student ID, I mean shared primary key, same foreign key, etc. I can see that. Let's see, select from students table. Let's see whether that A3 has got now the Aadhaar card linked. Students TBL. I can see that this Aadhaar card details are linked. How about our hobbies? So you can see that for the third student, I mean, this is all foreign key. And finally, I forgot the name of the table. Educational okay, student qualifications. Okay, not bad at all. What else did I forget to check? Anything else? What all we had added? I think we checked everything. Wait a second. I'll give you this also. So we have got all the things. Hobbies I checked, qualifications I checked, and this here checked. Yeah, please check it. And try this out. Oh, I had sent you earlier. I thought I had not sent you. Sorry. So test it out and tell me, is the complete object graph in heap getting properly translated using your inserts and updates? And I hope I don't have to sell Hibernate to you any longer. I hope you are suitably impressed. Are you understanding the, what do you say, worth of Hibernate? What? Okay. Goodbye. So coming back to the point which could be irritating to you is, see, we have to set up the entire object graph here. I had to write the code which is populating hobbies and what else? What else you have? Educational qualification and rest. So that is where Spring comes in. As you have seen in React, you have a technique called as form binding. So what you are going to see, not immediately, it's a little later concept, maybe after 2-3 days, you will see the entire form data. I'll talk in example. So when you what is it called? When you port it to web application, this will not be a UI. Your UI will be a form. If you put it in a full stack, I'm telling you, this will be the worthy project where you are showing ERs, React understanding, Spring Boot understanding, etc. Anyway, let's forget React. So suppose so you have a form somewhere, I don't care, React form or a Spring MVC form, some form. And what if I say React you manage, but Spring MVC, Spring container, which we will start after a break, can, not today of course, can take the entire form data. Which form data I'm talking about? This form data, and it is going to bind it to this object. In your React, it was bound to the JSON object, right? JavaScript object. Here it will bind it to the Java object. Are you getting this? So this complication of creating the objects and populating the object graph will be done by Spring container. So the point is, some things we will do it with Spring, and the backend we are already developing it with Hibernate. So all of this was the Hibernate training part. And now we are entering in 10 minutes time. I mean, I'm giving you a break. I'll create a zip file, don't worry. So we will enter Spring, and I'll start telling today with why Spring, what is Spring as a container, what is it as a framework, etc. And then we will spend entire last whatever 8 days I think we have in all in Spring, looking at different Spring ecosystem, such as Spring MVC, Spring Core, Spring testing, a lot of things you have. So all of that we'll be doing together. So let me give you the last copy of this project. Today there is in the lab session, you will just do the quickly. I hardly start in Spring today, but whatever that you will revise and spend the rest of the time and giving. Of course, I'll be there. Web application with not Spring here, with Hibernate and Maven. I'll tell you in the instructions what is the job of today lab session. So I'm sending you day 13.1, right? Yeah. So you keep it as a one project which has all type of associations between between entities, entity to entity, all one to one, one to many to many, etc. And entity to value type also. So it is a good reference project as a project help for your project help. And let us have a 10 minutes break here, and we will continue at in 10 minutes, and I'll start telling you about Spring. See you around. As we just going to get into introduction to Spring, and if possible, I don't think it is possible, to be very honest, create the first Spring project. So by now I hope everyone has downloaded the jar dependencies. Most likely we will end up creating the Spring project or adding the dependencies and all that in the lab session. Let's see how it goes. I'm stopping the video. Still my net connection is gone. I mean, broadband is not up. So let's start you on. We are entering the last but most important framework for your exams, projects, and in general Java track, Spring framework. So let us get started into that. If you see the help, I have already supplied the help. Not the complete help. Complete help of Spring is too exhaustive. I mean, too much, too extensive, not exhaustive, extensive, I wanted to say. So the one which I have shared is only for core Java and Spring, only the basic help. So let me open that. Please open your day 12 data. In day 12 data, you'll find day 12 help, and there is a separate folder, Spring help. Found it? Okay, so you can see there are a lot of, as usual, diagrams, Java docs. Okay, one thing you can do it right away. So please extract. I hope you have kept one folder where you are storing all the Java docs, starting from core Java, J2E docs, latest Hibernate docs, and the fourth one, Spring docs. Later, I'll give you Spring Data, JPA, Spring Boot, etc. So just right click on it and extract. And once you do the extraction, you should have this. Just a second. So let me see. I think I have this. Yeah. Oh no, this is a Spring Boot API. No, no, not this. You will see the file. Where is my Spring framework here? Spring framework. I'll tell you what you will see. This is what I have zipped and given you. Actual Spring for framework version is little later, 5.x only, but you should see this. Are you getting the Spring framework 5.x release API? Okay, but actually speaking, if you see this thing pom.xml, I have given you, yeah, the Spring version, which is little later, but that doesn't matter. The documentation doesn't change from 5.2 to 5.3. In short, it is all consistent. So I can't directly take you to Spring Framework documentation, but this is what should be kept in your one of the tabs. So you'll require your J2E docs, your Hibernate docs, as well as Spring docs. Now, since it is our first few minutes in Spring, the diagrams and all, I'll explain later, whatever you require. It's all Spring Framework thing. Ready code later. Yeah. So this is the sequence I'm going to follow. And for your interview preparation and exam preparation, are couple of readmes given. So here, when you talk about Spring introduction, okay, read this thing. Everything starts with like why you are learning, or why Spring has become one of the most most popular frameworks, or most popular topic in Java. Just read this. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I'll start explaining. I mean, again, on the first day, you don't get the feel, but over time, I'll tell you this is what I meant and all that. Like recently I explained the impedance mismatch kind of things. You'll understand the Spring related terms. The first and most important statement is, are you going to have the more complicated Java development or a simplified version? Answer is simplified Java development. So here you are going to see the reduction in code and not increased complexity. So please open. See, so unless until there is an example, you don't get interested in learning the new framework. So if you open any DAO layer. So for example, the last one we were working on is a student DAO layer. So you tell me, what is it full of? What is it majority full of? 90% full of repetitive code or non-repetitive code? Boilerplate code or non-boilerplate code? Boilerplate template code. Agreed? So see, now I'm trying to sell Spring to you, and finally you will definitely buy it. I'm telling you with experience. So Spring comes to you and says, why do you want to waste your time in writing the repetitive boilerplate code? Where Spring says you focus on specific solving of specific persistence layer problem. For example, you focus on the queries, you focus on associating entity graphs and all that, and I as a Spring will take care of your entire transaction management. So all this will become clearer when I actually come to the day, not tomorrow, impossible, day after maybe, where we have Spring MVC Hibernate integration. So the point I'm trying to say is, the moment you integrate this standalone native Hibernate with Spring, you will see complete reduction of repetitive code. So that will make you what? I mean, that will give you what? Simplification or complex part. Of course, simplification. And this is not only thing. I'm going to give you tons of examples. When we come and when we start writing, backend, the REST API provider, consumer would be your front end application, supplier, the provider will be a backend. Like you had Node and Express, so that will be replaced by Spring Boot. So the point is, when you write, there will be couple of annotations. Again, it is all annotation based development, such as get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mapping, and that will be giving you the REST API endpoints. So you're going to see the whole simplification and so much of code reduction. But I can't take directly that. We had to learn it the proper way, and we have learned it. Okay, next thing. One-stop shop means, you know the term one-stop shop. For example, you go to a mall, and the mall has typically the clothing, accessories, and the when I'm talking about small shops in the mall, I'm talking about, right? And you have your grocery needs satisfied, you've got clothing, you've got perfumes, everything under the same roof, correct? In the same manner, Spring tells you you have different needs in your building enterprise application. Come to me, as in come to Spring. And Spring is excellent integration master. So I'm already cautioning you, don't expect to understand all the terms. Just keep it at the back of your mind. Over this next week, this week, you'll definitely understand them inside out. So if you open a diagram, without diagram, I can't explain. Here, this is what Spring offers. So today is hardly, I can't really count today as a first day also, because we are just spending few minutes on this, but we will be starting, or we are going to start with in couple of minutes, Spring Core Container. That's the first thing, where I'll tell you Spring Bean life cycles. Spring Beans are the heart of your Spring framework. And if you have got some idea about JSP using Java Beans, or other web container managing your Java Beans, you will have no hesitation, no problem in shifting from JSP Java Bean to Spring using Spring Beans, etc. Then Spring says, okay, do you want to develop a standalone application or a web application? What is it you will require in your projects? Web application or whatever. Of course, web application. So Spring is a extensive but a modular framework. So you can see different modules. So you don't know about portlet-based architecture. You don't have this, but everyone knows servlet-based architecture. So on the third day, day after, hopefully day after, today is Monday, yeah, Wednesday. So around Wednesday sometime, Wednesday, worst case Thursday. I hope it is Wednesday. So we will have a Spring MVC, model view controller based Spring MVC implementation. And once again, you will see the entry to that Spring MVC is through a servlet. In short, we will Spring container says, do you want to develop a industry grade corporate style web application which has implemented your model view controller pattern? So of course, I'll first explain the pattern and then we'll implement. If the answer is yes, Spring will say, don't learn, or rather don't invest your time in old school technologies, which are servlet, JSP, Java Bean, JSP, okay, yes, again, but servlet and Java Bean. Spring says, I will give you the MVC framework and you just focus on writing something called as controller logic, which is a presentation, then the business logic, which is something like service means, and then the data access logic. So in short, Spring gives you such a excellent MVC integration or web integration. So see, the plan is, I will show you the first MVC based web application, but that is a monolithic web application. And I hope 100% of you will go for full stack. So when I say full stack, the backend and a front end. So backend will have what? Only the business logic and the data access logic, and the full presentation logic will be on the full on your React front end. Okay. So in that case, you will require something called as REST APIs, REST controllers, and a very natural what you say shifting from web MVC application to REST controllers will do. Then can you imagine developing any project without the database? I hope you can't. Database is an integral part, right? So Spring gives you tons of, I told you it is a one-stop shop. So Spring says, okay, you want to still continue. Okay, it gives you data access layer basically. Do you want a JDBC based? Spring offers you an excellent Spring data, what is it called? If there's a Spring data JDBC framework, so JDBC. But what is it we are practicing for last so many days? ORM, Hibernate. So Spring tells you, guys, you want to integrate with your Hibernate without writing that boilerplate code and without writing that, what is it called? Hibernate utils and all, come to me as in data access framework, and you will see a smooth integration of Spring Hibernate. That is one of the best ones. And likewise, you have so many things. And somewhere towards the end, I want to show you unit testing, integration testing, and all that. So Spring Boot, Spring framework in general gives you so much of testing support. So again, I'm reminding you, please don't take it personally if you don't understand half of the things I said, or maybe all of the things I said. This is what is your learning, which is going to happen in the complete week. So in that sense, you have a need in an enterprise application, and that will be supplied in a ready-made form with your this thing, Spring. Are we saying, is Spring telling you that unlearn Hibernate? Absolutely not. Otherwise, I wouldn't have shown you. So you know standalone Hibernate, you'll just learn how to integrate it with the least minimum efforts with Spring and further magic in Spring Boot. So that way, 100% integration master. It can integrate with your so many existing projects. There's a famous Spring EJB integration, Spring Struts integration. You don't have that, but you have Spring Hibernate or Spring Web MVC, etc. Major boilerplate code. I will ask you to compare. You know, once we have done that, compare your earlier, current DAO to the Spring Hibernate based DAO, and you will be really pleasantly surprised how thin it becomes, because all that repetitive code is going to vanish. And the heart of why Spring, one of the strongest reason is complete loosely coupled architecture. So when I say loose coupling between what? Loose coupling between the layers which we are going to build. So guys, tell me, which are the layers you are aware of in JSP Java Bean programming? Give me the layers in the top-down manner, please, from JSP to database. Tell me. JSP, Java Bean, DAO, Pojo, and database. And of course, you have utils. Okay, so that we are going to do today. Today afternoon, I have already planned for you. Do your revision 100%. Ask me questions, ask any of us question 100%. But after that, I'm going to definitely spend at least an hour or hour and a half to get you ported from JDBC based all that to Hibernate based. In short, Hibernate plus web application. But the layers are the same. So now, if I ask you a question, think and answer. I had said this a lot earlier on the Java Bean day. If you pick up Java Bean and a DAO, who is dependent upon whom? Answer. If you cannot answer, I'll ask you a simpler question. Okay, you are answered it. Means what? Who is going to call whose method for which purpose? Java Bean is going to call or has been calling DAO's method for your data access logic. Be it authenticate customer, be it show all topics, be it add a new topic, whatever. Everyone gets me? So, which is the dependent object and what is its dependency? Dependent NT, short form, and dependency CY. So you don't have to type much. Tell me, Which is the dependent object, guys, and which is the dependency? You know that. Yes, Java bean empty. I mean, okay, and dependency is your this thing. What is it called? DAO layer. So now the most important question. Recall. In Java bean constructor, what is the code you are writing? What is the code? If you don't remember, I'll open the Java bean class and show you. But if you can, no, Prashant, you did not understand me. Yes, Kunal is right. Java bean ka constructor. I said in the Java bean constructor, what is it you are creating? Instance of the DAO layer. Everyone understands it. So if it is a user bean, I hope you remember we were creating a user DAO instance. In topic bean, topic DAO instance. In tutorial bean, tutorial DAO. With me so far? Understanding me so far? Okay. So now let me ask you the next question. If the dependency changes, means what? If you change the dependency, that there is a DAO layer, will the dependent object get affected? In simple English. Okay, let me speak in simple English, not a formal words. If you make the changes in the DAO layer, we are going to do that. We had the JDBC based DAO layer, which you are going to replace it in the noon, in the lab session, by Hibernate based DAO layer. So let me ask you, if you make the changes in the DAO layer, will it affect the Java bean or will it not? You tell me anyway and I will answer. You let me see what it will do. 100% it will affect. So guys, don't trust me. We are going to actually do it. Those who have already done that login logout flow, here you must have used that get single result method, which throws the exception. Accordingly, you have to modify the bean. If you don't understand a letter of what I'm saying, wait for the lab session. We're going to do it together. So when the nature of the dependency changes, dependent object as your bean has to get changed. Okay, if you don't understand, I'll take another example. Take an example of a DAO and utils. Who is dependent upon whom between DAO and utils? Who's going to call whose method? Or this DAO and utils. So now tell me, when we shifted from what is it called, DB utils or JDBC utils to Hibernate utils, could we use the same DAO or the DAO got changed? At least that now. Of course, we had to change the DAO layer. Are you getting me? So now the statement, when the nature of the dependency changing, if it is affecting your dependent object, what kind of coupling will you call it? Tight coupling or loose coupling? Of course, loose coupling. If the dependency changes and dependent object also has to change, tight coupling, guys. Are you understanding? Because it is closely associated. I'll try the other one. Again, the same Java bean constructor. We were creating the dependency. So we were our Java bean was tightly coupled with a particular DAO. Okay, so this is completely tightly coupled architecture. So is tight coupling desirable or undesirable? 100% it is undesirable, because in a small case study like CMS or our classroom case studies, you will say, okay, I'm changing the mean, I'm changing the DAO. Why you are making a big deal? But what if the same DAO layer is using 10 different dependent objects? Everywhere you will have to hunt down the dependency, and everywhere you will have to make the changes in dependent object. Understanding or not? Tight coupling good or bad for health? Horribly bad for your health. Health of your business application, I'm saying. Are you getting it? That is where Spring comes in. Spring says, instead of Java bean managing the DAO, in short, instead of dependent objects managing their dependencies, who will manage the dependencies hereafter? Programmer or Spring container. Okay, programmer or Spring. P or S, Spring is the answer. And that is what is going to lead to loose coupling. So there are two key factors. One is dependency injection, which I'll start I don't know, I'll start or not. Anyway, there's something called as inversion of control, which we start initially using a dependency injection principle. And later, little later, when you settle more in Spring, we also have a AOP. You also have aspect-oriented programming, where again we talked about something like proxies and proxy pattern and the whole works. In short, this is what is both the things, inversion IOC, inversion of control and AOP will be used for achieving a loose coupling. Okay, so this is what are the highlights of why you are learning Spring. Am I discussing today a Spring Boot framework? No. But you cannot learn Spring Boot without Spring, because Spring framework will be like a bottom layer, and there are so many projects Spring team develops. One of such project in the Spring ecosystem, Spring community is Spring Boot. So first 3 days only on Spring without Spring Boot, and remaining 5 days I plan to spend on Spring Boot and give you a lot of experience. So this kind of calculation I have in mind. Okay, so read the next one. Anyone ask you, what is Spring? There's a lot of disturbance from outside. Maybe Republic Day preparation. Okay, so it is just a second. Okay, so what is Spring? It is a combo. It is a container and a framework. Okay, so when I say container, everyone can relate to web container in the middle of night. So listen to this. Web container was managing whose life cycle? Tell me. I'm talking about good old web container. Web container was managing the life cycle of which components? Which web components we know? Servlet and JSP. You remember servlet means init service destroy. JSP means JSP init underscore JSP service JSP destroy. It was also managing your beans. When you said JSP colon use bean, it was a web container who was creating instance and putting it in the scope, etc. So, like how web container was managing the life cycle of dynamic web components, namely servlet JSPs, and later I'll show you, before Spring Security, I'll show you servlet filters. Here, why it is called as this thing, what is it? Spring is called as a container. Spring is going to manage completely the life cycle of a component called as Spring Bean. And which Spring Beans you're going to write in the remaining all days? We are going to write what is it called? Controllers. These are nothing but request controllers. The what is it? Migration from that MVC controller to REST APIs is REST controller. And you will be writing the service layer beans to write your business logic, DAO layer beans, and the POJOs and all of that. So when I say use a term Spring Bean, as a fresher, first question is, what is a Spring Bean? So it is nothing but reverse. It is an ordinary Java object. It is a Java object which will have a very similar life cycle to your servlet. That is the reason I spent all 4 days we have spent in servlets. So you will see it has something like, locate, load, instantiate, init, dependency injection, all those things you'll see. So it is a Java object, but who is going to manage the life cycle? Is there a web container who's going to manage the Spring Beans lifecycle? Of course not. Web container will manage the servlet, JSP, Java Beans, etc. But Spring will act like a container and manage the lifecycle. So the first learning part is, what is those Spring Beans? What is that lifecycle? And let me tell you, you are going to get the same. You're going to understand it very easily because it is based out of servlet. So that was one reason. Sorry. So that is why the Spring is advertised as or described as, understood as container. But why it is called as the framework? I told you long back. The first framework I showed you in core Java was a collection framework. So what is collection framework? Nothing but ready-made implementation of standard algorithms which could be your list functionality, set functionality, map, queue, deck, plus searching and whatever sorting algorithms. So that was your collection framework. So here you are going to see so many patterns: singleton, factory, proxy, MVC, so many patterns. And it is going to implement those patterns in a ready-made manner and help us to build the enterprise applications. So from that aspect, from that perspective, it is a framework. That's why it is like, both container and a framework. And it is one of the most powerful frameworks, which has totally, I would say totally, okay, there are certain struts implemented. There is another framework called as struts, but people hardly use it. Most of the projects, old projects could be still using struts, but most of the projects are already migrated to Spring or EJB, struts. All these are like faded technologies. Spring has taken over. It is an open source. The founder of the Spring framework, the idea was brought up by a great person like Rod Johnson. Whenever you read Spring API docs, it says contributed by, and you'll see so many times Rod Johnson coming up there, the name. And it was initially published under Apache license, but now it is currently hosted by our Pivotal, which is what has given us STS, Spring Tool Suite, as a Spring plugin in Eclipse, and the company under the name VMware. So this is just a brief background of why Spring and what is it. So you can later, whenever you are preparing for whatever exams, interviews and all, you can read in detail the whole discussion. And I know I should be stopping here. So I'll just say 2-3 things and we'll stop. So wait a second. I'm just thinking what I can take in without burdening you. Yes. So here. So this we will start, of course, tomorrow. So I have already said why Spring and what is it. Why Spring is considered as a modular framework? Because Spring does not pressurize you at all. We will focus tomorrow only on understanding the Spring core container part of it, and then MVC and all the things will come up next day, or Spring Hibernate integration, ORM, and all come in. So here, the main thing is loosely coupled architecture. Yes, and I have okay. So the first thing you have to understand is the dependency injection part. So I'll just explain that in a summary manner, and we'll stop immediately. So I have already, so the question I'm trying to answer is, the term I'll be saying literally 100 times a day is DI. DI as in dependency injection. So read this slowly. I already explained you this earlier. I'm referring to our known ladder. I'm not yet talking about Spring layers. So here, the list of dependent objects and their dependencies. So does everyone agree with me? Java Bean is dependent upon a DAO. Yes or no? If you don't accept, tell me. I'll explain. Here, Hibernate-based DAO layer, which is what we were busy in last 4-5 days, is dependent upon Hibernate utils. For which purpose? To get the singleton immutable thread safe session factory instance. So which is dependent and which is dependency? Hibernate-based DAO layer is dependent upon the utils to get your session factory. Earlier, in the first week of our advanced Java, we were using JDBC-based DAO layer, which was dependent upon DB utils for getting what? Getting a singleton instance of that database connection. Understood all of it? I mean, understood the statements, the list of dependents and their dependencies. Is it clear to you all? Because this is what you know. So here, these are the examples of tight coupling because Java Bean had to create the DAO instance and then call the methods. So the moment you make changes in the DAO layer, simple. If I drop that default constructor and use a parameterized constructor, of course your Java Bean will get affected. Affected means what? We'll have to change it. The moment you shift from, the moment you change the, what do you say, configuration details in session factory, your DAO layer who is calling that method get factory and all maybe changed. JDBC based DAO layer tightly coupled with utils. So why it is an example of tight coupling? Here is the answer. Example is going to tell you a lot of things. First read the reason. Why it is called as tight coupling. Because if you don't understand tight coupling versus loose coupling, the whole concept falls flat. So anytime the nature of the dependency changes, I'm telling you with experience, you'll agree with me in the lab session, 100% your dependent will get affected. So read this, because as a beginner, you just think that she's talking in Greek and Latin or whatever. But I'm quoting an example. What we are going to do, we are going to build in the lab session, not Spring. Spring is tomorrow. So we are going to bring a JSP Java Bean ladder, but the what is it called? A JDBC based DAO layer will be replaced by Hibernate based DAO. At that point, do you remember our JDBC based DAO layers method was returning you null? But here, in case of invalid login, which is the method you are going to use? Are you going to use session.get or are you going to use get single result? Understanding anything or lost completely? I said your user, the JSP client will give the email and password to JSP. Using JSP colon set property, we'll pass those properties to your Java Bean. And Java Bean will call the DAO layer method. So of course, we will have get single result method in the Hibernate based DAO layer. And that will throw the exception in case of invalid login. So will your Java Bean class, which was earlier checking for null, change or no change? Will you have to change it when you change the nature of the dependency from JDBC based DAO to Hibernate? It's a yes or no answer. Of course, you'll have to change. You will see we will be changing it together in the lab session. So this is this is a quotable example. Guys, interviewers are looking for not your just memorized words or jargon. They want examples. So this is a classic example to explain the tight coupling. So here, tight coupling is 100% undesirable because on one dependency, there could be 10 dependent objects. So leads to extremely difficult nightmare to maintain. Or even if you want to add a new feature, it becomes difficult. So read this slowly. I am wrapping up in 2 minutes. Understood the line, last line, highlighted line. Who has been managing the dependencies? Your choices are some third-party container or the dependent objects via programmer. P or third party, programmer or third-party container. Answer is programmer, the dependent objects. We are creating in the DAO layer, the bean instance and all that. We are calling get session factory or get factory or whatever. Are you understanding it? So this is called as the traditional is equal to conventional programming model. I'm not talking about empirical versus functional. This is a different discussion. Here, dependents are in charge of managing the dependency. So this is a normal model. So finally, last statement of the day. What is dependency injection? Finally, dependency injection is also known as wiring, is equal to collaboration. It is nothing but linking dependency, making the dependency available. So read this long statement, which I'll be making 10 times a day or 100 times a day. So read this slowly. Instead of Java Bean creating a DAO instance, instead of Hibernate based DAO layer calling utils dot Hibernate utils dot get factory, So instead of dependent objects managing their dependencies, who is going to manage it here onwards? Programmer or a third-party container? Answer is third-party container. I'm not showing you Angular. Of course, Angular is full-fledged DI-based container. React is not. So anyway, so the Spring EJB web container also gives you a little bit, all these important segments tomorrow. So who is going to create the dependencies here onwards? As our training is Spring container is going to create it. So who is going to create? Your session factory, programmer or Spring container, P or SC, Spring container. The moment you understand that, entire Hibernate utils gone. Are you understanding how you're going to reduce the code? How you're going to simplify Java? I mean, your project. No Hibernate utils. And here I'm saying not just that, it is going to inject it. Inject means what? Injection means making the dependencies available with dependent objects, that too at runtime. And you'll see over time, there is one master annotation, most important annotation called as @AutoWired. So you just add here is the example, guys. So we'll be building ladder, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is just an introduction day, a warm-up day. So here you will soon have, soon means third day onwards, a controller. Controller's dependency is a service bean, which has a business logic. So you don't have to write any constructor which instantiate, you just order. Spring container will be your new slave, intelligent, more capable than web container. And what will Spring container do, It will check, is there any bean, is there any Java object which has implemented your user service? That is why interface and implementation class. And if it finds, it will create that instance and directly inject it, directly make it available to the controller. So this you will not understand because you'll say which controller, which service, we don't know anything. Totally agreed. But at least do you know session factory? Everyone knows session factory. So what is it we had to do all these days, all these last 4-5 days in Hibernate? The DAO layer, we had to write a Hibernate utils and call the method. No longer required. Hibernate utils block will disappear and you will simply ask the container, Spring container, to create a singleton immutable thread safe session factory instance, and that will be wired, that will be made available to your DAO layer. So this and many more things you are going to see, and there is a very interesting term, Hollywood principle and all of that tomorrow onwards. So guys, of course, I'll write all these instructions, whatever I expect. So full revision is expected. I'll not even bother you during that revision. Once I log in, you can ask me anything and everything, whatever we did in the last 2-3 days, advanced part of Hibernate. And then we are going to sit together and at least complete some part of CMS case study. There won't be any Spring mention there. But what I'll do is, if you have any problem, okay, I'll just make sure that your Spring project is up and running. So that will be all. I'll be uploading all the things in the D13 data properly along with the instructions. See you in the labs.